What if I told you that one of the most inspiring underdog stories ever put to film happened in real life? What if I told you it involves a middle-aged Welsh woman, a rundown pub, and a horse that would prove everyone wrong? Well, get comfortable, because you're about to discover why Dream Horse isn't just a movie. It's a masterclass in believing when the world tells you not to. If you love stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because this is exactly the kind of tale that reminds us why we never give up on our dreams. This is the complete story of Dream Horse. And trust me, by the end, you'll understand why sometimes the most powerful revolutions start in the most unexpected places. The movie opens in the heart of Wales, in a former mining town called Cefn Fforest. This isn't the glamorous Wales you see in tourism brochures. This is post-industrial Wales, where the mines have closed, the jobs have vanished, and dreams feel like luxuries people can't afford. Here we meet Jan Vokes, played brilliantly by Toni Collette. Jan is in her 40s, working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. By day, she's a cleaner in an office building, scrubbing floors and emptying bins for people who barely acknowledge her existence. By night, she's behind the bar at the local pub, serving pints to neighbors who've known her all her life. The film does something beautiful here. It doesn't romanticize Jan's life or make her seem like a saint waiting for her moment. Instead, it shows us a woman who's tired of routine, tired of feeling invisible, tired of living a life that feels like it's happening to her rather than being lived by her. Her marriage to Brian, played by Owen Teale, has settled into that quiet kind of companionship that many long marriages become, comfortable but not particularly passionate. They watch television together, eat dinner together, but there's a sense that they're both just going through the motions of a life rather than actively living one. The film captures this beautifully through small details, the way Jan mechanically makes breakfast, the repetitive nature of her cleaning work, the familiar faces at the pub, saying the same things they said yesterday and will say tomorrow. It's not a bad life, but it's not really a life at all. Then comes the moment that changes everything. One evening at the pub, Jan overhears a conversation between 2 men discussing the world of horse racing. One of them is Howard Davies, played by Nicholas Farrell, a local tax advisor who breeds horses as a hobby. He's talking about the bloodlines, the costs, the exclusive world of racing where million-pound horses compete for glory and prize money. Now here's where the movie could have taken the easy route and made this moment feel magical or destined. Instead, it feels authentic. Jan isn't struck by lightning or visited by some mystical sign. She's simply listening to 2 men talk about something she knows nothing about, and she asks herself a question that changes everything. Why should this be just for rich people? It's such a simple question, but it's revolutionary in its simplicity. Jan has bred racing pigeons before. She knows about genetics, about patience, about nurturing potential. She understands that breeding isn't magic. It's knowledge, dedication, and a willingness to take risks. So why shouldn't ordinary people be able to breed a racehorse? The conversation with Howard Davies is one of the movie's best scenes. Jan approaches him with her idea, and you can see him trying to be polite, while also trying to discourage her. He explains the costs, the stud fees, the training expenses, the vet bills. He talks about the risks. Most horses never win a significant race. Injuries are common. The competition is fierce. But Jan isn't discouraged. If anything, Howard's attempts to talk her out of it only make her more determined. because Jan recognizes something that Howard doesn't. She's been told her whole life that certain things aren't for people like her. The racing world is just another version of the same exclusivity she's faced everywhere else. This is where Toni Collette's performance really shines. She doesn't play Jan as naive or unrealistic. Instead, she plays her as someone who's made a conscious decision to stop accepting limitations. When Jan says, "If we all put in a bit, we could do this together," it's not said with starry-eyed optimism. It's said with the quiet determination of someone who's tired of being told what she can't do. The film then takes us through Jan's campaign to build the syndicate. This isn't a montage of easy victories. It's a realistic portrayal of how hard it is to convince people to believe in something unprecedented. Jan goes door to door in Cefn Fforest, explaining her idea to neighbors who think she's lost her mind. Some conversations are hostile, people telling her it's a waste of money, that she's being foolish, that she should accept her place in life. Others are sympathetic but skeptical. Friends who love Jan but worry she's setting herself up for heartbreak. And a few are intrigued despite themselves, people who've also felt the weight of limitations and are curious about what it might feel like to push back against them. The movie shows us each person Jan recruits, and they're beautifully cast to represent the diversity of the working-class community. There's Di the Butcher, played by Stefan Rodri, who joins partly because he's always fancied himself a bit of a gambler. There's Angela, played by Catherine Ayers, a cleaner like Jan who sees the syndicate as a chance to be part of something bigger than her daily routine. Each character has their own reason for joining, but they all share something fundamental. They're tired of being spectators in a world that seems designed for other people. The syndicate isn't just about breeding a horse. It's about proving that ordinary people can participate in extraordinary things. The weekly meetings become one of the film's great pleasures. These scenes could have been boring, people sitting around discussing finances and bloodlines, but instead they crackle with energy and humor. Because what we're watching isn't really about horses. It's about community, about people who've never had much power suddenly having agency over something that matters to them. Jan becomes the leader by default, but she's not a traditional leader. She doesn't have grand speeches or inspirational moments. Instead, she leads by example, by doing the research, by making the calls, by refusing to give up when obstacles arise. She's organized because she has to be, determined because there's no alternative. The process of choosing which mare to breed and which stallion to use becomes a fascinating window into this world. The film doesn't oversimplify the technical aspects. We learn about bloodlines and conformation, about the risks and rewards of different breeding decisions, but it also shows how the syndicate approaches these decisions differently from traditional owners. They can't afford the most expensive stallion or the most proven mare. Instead, they have to find value where others don't see it, to make smart choices with limited resources. It's a perfect metaphor for how working-class people navigate the world, not through privilege or connections, but through intelligence, research, and careful decision-making. When they finally settle on their choices, the anticipation builds beautifully. The film takes us through the 11-month pregnancy, showing how the syndicate members begin to feel invested not just financially, but emotionally. This isn't just a business venture anymore, it's become the focus of their hopes and dreams. The birth scene is handled with wonderful restraint. The foal arrives on a cold Welsh morning in Jan's makeshift stable behind her house. There's no dramatic music or soaring camera shots. Instead, we see the syndicate members crowding around the stall, looking at this awkward, leggy creature that represents everything they've invested in, financially and emotionally. The foal is named Dream Alliance, and from the beginning, his personality shines through. He's spirited, curious, and stubborn, traits that will serve him well on the racetrack but make him challenging to train. The early scenes of Dream as a young horse are some of the film's most charming, showing this gangly creature learning to navigate the world while being watched over by 23 proud surrogate parents. But the movie doesn't shy away from the challenges. Training a racehorse is expensive, complicated, and often frustrating. Dream shows promise but lacks discipline. He has speed, but also has opinions about when and how he wants to use it. Traditional trainers shake their heads. He's too headstrong, too unpolished, too much work for uncertain returns. This leads to one of the film's most important themes, the clash between traditional approaches and unconventional ones. The racing establishment looks at Dream Alliance and sees everything that's wrong with amateur ownership. He doesn't have the pedigree of a champion, his training setup is modest, and his owners don't understand the unspoken rules of the sport. But Jan and the syndicate see something different. They see a horse with heart, with spirit, with the kind of determination that can't be bought or bred. They recognize in Dream Alliance something of themselves, the refusal to be dismissed, the hunger to prove doubters wrong, the stubborn belief that being underestimated can be an advantage. The film builds tension beautifully through Dream's early racing career. His first races are a mixture of promise and frustration. He'll show brilliant speed in training, then lose focus during a race. He'll lead for most of a race, then get distracted in the final furlong. Each race becomes an emotional roller coaster for the syndicate members who invest their hopes in every stride. The movie captures something authentic about the experience of following a racehorse, the way your heart pounds when your horse is in contention, the way a bad step or a lost position can feel like a personal tragedy, the way a good performance can make everything else in your life seem brighter. But it's not just about the racing. The film shows how the syndicate changes the lives of its members in ways that have nothing to do with winning or losing. Angela finds confidence she never knew she had. Di discovers he enjoys the strategic aspects of racing as much as the gambling. Jan becomes a leader and organizer, skills that transform how she sees herself and how others see her. The weekly meetings become social events that bring the community together. People who might have just nodded to each other on the street now have shared experiences, shared hopes, shared anxieties. The syndicate creates bonds that extend far beyond their mutual investment in a horse. Then comes the moment that threatens to end everything. During a race at Aintree, Dream Alliance suffers a severe tendon injury. The film handles this crisis with devastating effectiveness, showing the immediate confusion and fear, the veterinary examination that confirms everyone's worst fears, and the terrible silence that follows the diagnosis. A severed tendon in a racehorse is often a death sentence. The economics are brutal. Expensive surgery with uncertain outcomes, months of recovery with no guarantee of return, and the constant risk of re-injury, even if the horse does heal. Most owners in this situation make the practical decision quickly. But the Dream Alliance syndicate isn't most owners. The film gives us one of its most powerful scenes as the members gather to decide Dream's fate. Some argue for the practical choice. They've had their adventure, they've proven their point, it's time to let go. Others insist they can't abandon the horse now, that they owe him the chance to recover. Jan finds herself in the position of having to make the final decision, and Toni Collette delivers this moment beautifully. She doesn't make a speech about hope or destiny. Instead, She simply says that Dream Alliance has never given up on them, so they're not going to give up on him. It's a decision made with the heart, not the head, and it's quintessentially Jan. Practical but passionate, realistic but unwilling to surrender. The surgery and recovery sequences show the film at its most emotionally complex. Dream Alliance undergoes the operation, but the real challenge is the months of rehabilitation that follow. The syndicate members take turns visiting him, bringing treats and encouragement, watching him struggle with the confinement and boredom of recovery. These scenes could have been sentimental or overly dramatic, but the film keeps them grounded. We see the real cost of the decision, not just financial, but emotional. The syndicate members watch their horse struggle, and they struggle along with him. There are moments of doubt, moments when the practical voices seem to make more sense, moments when the whole enterprise feels like an expensive mistake. But slowly, gradually, Dream Alliance begins to heal. Not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. The forced rest seems to mature him, to focus his energy in new ways. When he's finally allowed to return to light training, something has changed. The raw talent is still there, but it's now coupled with wisdom and determination. The comeback trail is handled with perfect pacing. Dream Alliance's return to racing isn't immediate or easy. He needs time to rebuild his fitness, to regain his confidence, to remember what it feels like to compete. His first few races back are tentative affairs, everyone watching nervously for any sign of trouble, any indication that the injury might recur. But gradually, race by race, Dream Alliance shows that he's not just healed, he's better than ever. The injury and recovery seem to have given him something precious: perspective. He runs with a new purpose, a new focus, a new determination that wasn't there before. This leads to the film's climactic sequence, the Welsh Grand National. The movie builds this race beautifully, showing the magnitude of the challenge. 3 miles and 5 furlongs over grueling terrain against a field of elite horses worth millions of pounds. For Dream Alliance and the syndicate, it represents the ultimate test of everything they've believed and worked toward. The film gives us wonderful details about race day, Jan wearing her best coat, the syndicate members trying to manage their nerves, the media attention that has grown around their story. Dream Alliance is no longer just a local curiosity. He's become a symbol of something larger, a representative of everyone who's ever been told their dreams are too big. The race itself is filmed with incredible tension and excitement. We follow Dream Alliance through every phase: the careful early positioning, the patient stalking of the leaders, the tactical decisions that will determine the outcome. The film makes us feel every stride, every jump, every moment of doubt or hope. When Dream Alliance makes his move in the final half mile, the movie erupts with energy. We see him powering past horse after horse, each stride eating up ground. The crowd's roar building to a crescendo. In the stands, the syndicate members are beside themselves, screaming, crying, hardly daring to believe what they're seeing. The finish is handled perfectly. No slow motion, no manufactured drama, just the pure excitement of a horse and jockey giving everything they have. When Dream Alliance crosses the line first, the explosion of joy from the syndicate is utterly authentic. These aren't actors celebrating. These are people whose impossible dream has just come true. But the film doesn't end with the victory celebration. Instead, it takes time to explore what the win means beyond the immediate joy. For Jan, it's validation of her belief that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things. For the syndicate members, It's proof that taking risks and supporting each other can lead to amazing outcomes. For the community of Cefn Fforest, it's a reminder that their small town can produce something that captures the world's imagination. The film's final scenes show the broader impact of Dream Alliance's story. We see Jan giving interviews, the syndicate members being recognized as local heroes, the horse himself enjoying his celebrity status. But more importantly, we see how the experience has changed everyone involved. Jan has discovered leadership abilities she never knew she possessed. Brian has found new respect for his wife's vision and determination. The syndicate members have formed friendships that will last the rest of their lives. And Dream Alliance has proven that champions can come from the most unexpected places. The movie ends not with grand speeches or soaring music, but with a quiet moment that captures everything the story represents. Jan is back at work, cleaning the same offices, serving the same customers. But something fundamental has changed. She moves through her routine with new confidence, new purpose, new knowledge of what she's capable of achieving. The final shot shows Dream Alliance grazing peacefully in his field, and we understand that his greatest victory wasn't winning a race. It was proving that dreams don't require permission from anyone except the dreamer. Dream Horse works as a film because it never forgets that its story is fundamentally about human connection and community. Yes, it's about a racehorse, but really it's about what happens when people decide to stop accepting limitations and start believing in possibilities. The movie shows us that the most powerful revolutions aren't always political or social. Sometimes they're personal, happening one dream at a time, one person at a time, one community at a time. Jan Vokes and her syndicate didn't set out to change the world, but by refusing to accept that certain things weren't for people like them, they ended up doing exactly that. What makes this story so compelling is its authenticity. These aren't superheroes or chosen ones. They're ordinary people who decided to do something extraordinary. They didn't have special powers or unlimited resources. They had something more valuable: the courage to try and the determination to keep going when things got difficult. The film reminds us that dreams don't have to be practical to be valid, that communities can achieve things that individuals never could, and that sometimes the most important victories happen not when you cross the finish line first, but when you have the courage to approach the starting line at all. In a world that often feels designed to crush individual dreams, Dream Horse stands as a powerful reminder that ordinary people can still do extraordinary things. All it takes is belief, community, and the stubborn refusal to accept that something is impossible just because you've never seen it done before. Jan Vokes looked at the exclusive world of horse racing and asked a simple question: why not us? The answer, it turns out, was that there was no good reason at all, and sometimes that's all the permission you need to chase the impossible. If this story inspired you to think about your own impossible dreams, hit that like button and subscribe for more tales that prove ordinary people can do extraordinary things. Share this with someone who needs to hear that their crazy idea might not be so crazy after all. What's your "why not me" moment? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and remember, the only difference between a dreamer and someone living their dream is the courage to take the first step.